This is Cast of Wonders, the fiction podcast for young adults featuring stories of the fantastic. Welcome, episode 136. Today we bring you the story of Flotsam by Rebecca Schwartz. Rebecca comes to us from Austin, Texas, where she's an active member of the Slug Tribe Writers Group and the Codex Online Writers Group. She's attended writers' workshops with Pablo Bacigalupi, Kat Rambo, and Alex Schwartzman, and her work has appeared previously in Inner Zone, Bourbon Pen, Daily Science Fiction, and Flagship Magazine. Your narrator today is me, Jeffrey Height. I'm a voice you don't hear a lot about at Cast of Wonders, but I do work here. I'm the head slush wrangler. That means if you send a story into us, I'm gonna read it. I'm a writer from Western New York, and if you've heard my voice before, it's probably from another great fiction magazine, Flagship Magazine, where you might have also heard this story. Now we have a tale to tell. I'm about to blast a grunt when the game freezes. Mom's commandeered the link, and now she appears in her old chinos and t-shirt among the rubble of the Axis bunker. Mom, get off! As long as she's on, my avatar is frozen like an idiot and open to attack. I text Katya my situation, although it should be obvious. Don't speak to me in that tone, Ian, Mom says. Log off and come to the kitchen. There's no point in arguing. I shut down my avatar and sign off. I hope Katya makes it to the next level. If not, no way is she partnering with me again, or sitting next to me at lunch. The 3D shuts down, sucking the setting sun up into the foreground rubble. The wall fades to beige. I flop back on the floor. It's always startling how small my room is when the screen is off. My toes touch the wall where the screen was, and when I stretch my hands up over my head, I can feel the curved joint where the opposite wall becomes the floor. I get up and slide to the door and yell, "What do you want?" "I'm in the kitchen," Mom insists. I walk the 6 steps down the hall to the so-called kitchen. "I'm kind of in the middle of something, Mom." "Oh, give me a break. It's Saturday," Mom says. She's scrubbing the tiny rectangular countertop. Not a good sign. "I've got to get some cleaning done. Could you take your sister for a couple of hours?" "Mom!" "Stop momming me." "But everybody's on. You know Saturday's the only time we get to game on the primary comms." "That doesn't mean you have to spend every Saturday morning in your room playing those shooters. A boy your age should be spending more time outside. Why can't I just go at 1200? Here's your choice. Either stay here and help me clean the house, or take your sister outside." "Fine. Where is she?" I asked her back. She's already rummaging in the utility closet. "Look around. She can't be far." I head for the main room. When the door opens, Nona's music blasts me. I find the wall control and turn Happy Puppy's Space Dream off. Her head snaps up. "Hey," she says. She's got her Nano Nelly dolls out with her, like a billion tiny pieces all over the floor. "Come on." "Where?" "Outside," I say. "Really?" "Yeah." She squeals and jumps up, scattering tiny plastic pieces and Nano Nelly body parts in all directions. I pick my way carefully across the room. They really hurt when you step on them, especially the arms. I punch in the code for the vestibule, and the door isn't even all the way open before she crowds past me. "Come on, Nona. You know it's small in there." "Get my boots, get my boots!" "Long johns first," I say. I get them down for her. She sits and starts tucking them on. I pull on mine and get my boots. By then, it's time to rescue Nona from the tangled mess she's made of everything. Finally, we're suited up. I snug her helmet on and activate the audio, then start the safety checks running. "Ready?" "Ready for an adventure!" Her voice comes through the helmet speaker, loud and attenuated, distant and too close at the same time. Then Mom comes on, her voice in my ear. "No hunting, Ian." "Mom!" "Don't bring any junk back." "Fine. I mean it. I'm not paying another citation." "Okay." I know she can't see me rolling my eyes, but I do it anyway. "Hey." "What?" "Have fun out there." She signs off. Nona's beacon flashes green. I check my own. We're both green go. I snap the short rope onto her belt and the other onto my own. "Okay, let's go." I initiate the exit sequence. When the grab switches off, we both pop in the air and I get an ear-splitting squeal from Nona. "Quit it!" I shout back. "Sorry." I pull the exit lever, and the door rolls up. We jostle together before Nona caroms off the doorway and spins out into space, still squealing and tittering. The short rope snaps tight, yanking me out after her. A million stars whirling around us, streaming and jittering across black space. I grab the jets off my belt and lock them into my gloves and punch a couple of quick bursts to kill the spin. Are you ready, farter? I ask. I'm dizzy. Ready, I repeat. Steady. I get a trajectory from the computer, hold my arms out in an I formation, and hit the jets. We shoot through the inner courtyard's protective space, surrounded by the 6 massive apartment vessels that make up our co-op. Thousands of bright portholes wink down at us as we pass by. There's next to no traffic, since everyone I know is still inside. A few dual-seaters coast through the courtyard. A couple of repairmen work on the hall of our apartment. On the far side, it looks like someone's towing their kid to the playscape. We accelerate, and this time Nona's scream sounds only slightly more delighted than terrified. My external mic picks up dust scrubbing my helmet and my arms. The larger particles flash into plasma on the suit's shielding. I pull Nona in a wide arc around the courtyard, but veer away from the playscape, flying us instead through the alley between the last 2 apartments. Hey, where are we going? She asks. Instead of answering, I boost the jets and speed us through the alley before reversing to brake. Look down, farter. Clear of the co-op, we can see Earth. The sun shines across the Pacific. The algae blooms are brilliant, green and orange, the brightest I've ever seen. Blue smoke smudges the coastline's jagged edge, merging with the twilight. Sparse clusters of light illuminate the darkness east of California. Hi, Dad! Nona shouts in my ear. I look over, and she's waving like an idiot at the whole coastline. The motion of her arms sends her legs flailing around behind her. Quit it, Nona. I almost say more, but I don't. She was just 3 when he re-upped. I try to picture him down there on patrol, to picture California, but all I could see is the landscape of imaginary rubble from this morning's game. I fire up the rockets and point us out toward the nearest debris field. Mom said not to, she starts. Mom said go out and play, I countered. We continue toward the massive flotilla of random junk that orbits beyond our living complex. A couple of big hunks of recognizable satellites, bristling with broken antennas and whatnot. I off the jets, and we drift into the debris field. I give a twisted piece of metal in front of us a push, sending it in a different course. Nona spots several small O-rings glittering close by. I pulse one jet to tug her closer. She manages to capture a couple clumsily in her glove. Oh, she says. Can I keep them? Fine with me. They can be for Nano Nellie's house, she says, pushing them into the pocket on the front of her suit. You won't tell? I won't if you won't. Even Nona understands our family's don't ask, don't tell policy. Mom always states the official line in the public comms about no scavenging, and as long as I don't get caught, we all benefit from the sales. Even with Dad's active duty bonus, our credit rating is so low that she can't really afford to complain. Besides, I think she knows that I'm good at it. A distant flash catches my eye. A searing reflection off what must be a solar panel, a big one. I hit the jets. Come on, I say. The short rope snaps tight, squeezing another squeal out of Nona as we bungle into each other. I get up speed and weave through the junk, using the top of my helmet as a battering ram and the smaller pieces. I can see more of it now. It's big. It's bigger than a satellite, and old. Battered and scarred with scorch marks, there are some dark areas that look to be holes. A way in, I hope. Is that a space station? Nona asks. Maybe. Do you think there'll be astronauts? Nona means dead astronauts. Don't be retarded. I don't want her to think that I'm even entertaining the thought. I speed up and navigate around a couple of bigger pieces of junk to make it like a ride again, but an uncharacteristic silence fills my headset. I don't want to go in, she says. Okay, I say. It'll be easier if I leave her outside. Wow, Nona whispers when we finally reach it. It's big. I agree. Even without the panels, it's at least as big as the transport. I start around it looking for a hatch. One solar panel is half retracted in a crazy zigzag. The other one's outstretched, its foil ripped and pocked with holes. There are only 3 hatches that I can find, and they all look sealed. The impact craters reveal globs of tangled wires and random insulation. I've just about given up when I notice a big scorch near the aft hatch that's blacker than the rest. I change course toward it and line up with what turns out to be a hole. Something glints in the blackness. I get up close and grab the torn metal that curls away from the opening. This was blasted from the inside, probably by scavengers. I snap on my lights and duck in. Hey, Nona complains. I thought we weren't going in. I'm just looking. It's cramped inside. Every square inch is covered with instrument panels and buttons, even the ceiling. This is old, I say. Are you sure you don't want to check it out? I don't know. Mom? How's Mom gonna know, farter? I say. Besides, I bet Dad would. Really? Sure. He's always checking out old ruins Earthside. Recon. It's part of his job. I don't know if she's going to buy that, but it's not like Mom's going to say anything now that she and Dad aren't talking. I start working my way in, moving frayed wires. The short rope tightens, and through the earpiece I hear Nona's helmet clunk against the hull next to the opening. Ian, she whines. I try to turn, but that just winds the rope around my waist, locking us even closer together. I roll away from her again. I don't want to go in, she complains. Oh, come on, just a little further. Don't you want to see what it looks like inside? This thing must be like 100 years old. I'm still facing in and can't see her face, but I can feel her straining against the rope. I turn my head from side to side, swinging the beam across the interior. The inside looks way smaller than the outside. I don't want to, she repeats. I get a touch hold on the hull and kick back out. Okay, you stay out here, I say, and find the lock on my belt. No, she says, her eyes as big and round as she watches me unhook the rope. You'll be fine. I'm just going to go in for a minute. I just want to see what it looks like. But what if I float away? I clip her onto one of the exterior handholds. You're not going to float away, I say. Look, there are a ton of handholds on this thing. You can hook onto any of them. I sweep my hand up past the barrel of the hull to include the deployed solar panel. You could even climb up and get some of that pretty foil. I don't know, she says, but I can tell she wants to. It'll be easy and keep her busy, I think. Really? Our comms are on, so if you come off, just call me and I'll get right out and get you. She reaches for one of the handholds. Promise? Promise, I say. She looks up at the shiny gold foil hanging from the outstretched panel. Just pretend you're on the inner playscape, I add finally. She starts up along the hull, grabbing the next handhold. She unclips and clips to the one above. See? Easy, I said, and I spin around and dive back through the hole. It's a tight squeeze, which opens up into a central area. Everything is curved, even more than in our living unit, like a tube. The walls must be super thick. The inside feels cramped, despite being totally picked over. Tiny crystalline shards glitter in the headlamp's light. I push over to a plastic container filled with what looks like tiny green plants. I poke one of them and it shatters. Ian? Nona's voice sounds unsure. What's up, farter? You there? Duh, I say. You at the panel yet? Almost. She's puffing into her mic. You see any ghosts yet? No such luck. I spin around and head for one of the ends. It's definitely one of the oldest places I've been in. Of course, it's completely cleaned out. There are like a million cubbies and little storage spaces. The ones with doors intact are open and empty. More wires bristle from the places where scavengers tore instruments out. I pull myself into what looks like a galley. Oddly, nobody wanted the tiny old microwave, still fitted in the wall. I pop the door, and there's even some food crusted inside. I reach into the cubbies above, checking around for food packets. The old ones, with some weird vegetable matter rendered into paste, can resell for a lot. I get some dust moving, which drifts across my light, but that's it. Nona's been puffing in my earpiece the whole time, but as I head to the other end of the station, static thickens around the sounds of her breathing, engulfing it completely by the time I reach the far wall. There must be some heavy insulation back here. I hope she's not hearing it on her end. Straps float up from where they were attached to the back wall. It takes me a minute to realize that this must have been where the astronauts slept, tethered like ships bobbing at a dock. Smaller particles sparkle in the light, water vapor maybe. The shower or the head must be close by. I look around some more, but there's nothing here, nothing left. I didn't really expect anything anyway. I've almost forgotten about the constant static in my ear until it breaks for a moment, letting a high squeal through. It sounds like feedback, maybe a passing transport on our frequency. Still, I should be getting back to Nona. I reorient and set my feet to push off when I notice a piece of paper in the seam of the wall next to me. I just managed to pinch it with the rubberized tips of my thumb and forefinger and work it out slowly. A picture. It's printed on paper. A photograph. Colors aren't quite right. Faded. A man and a woman and a boy stand by what must be a grill. Sunlight filters through the trees behind them. They're all wearing bright summer clothes. The man's arms snug around the woman's shoulders. She's very pregnant. The little boy grins and holds up a hot dog. The light from my headlamp shines on the scene as if it were the sun itself. What a find! Better than a petrified food packet. The resale value won't be much, but it's almost like finding an astronaut. I'm not sure how I'll get it home. It looks too brittle to risk trying to get into my pockets. Finally, I just push off, navigating carefully the short distance through the station, with the photo between my thumb and fingers. I'm at the hole when the static clears and the long whine resumes, its pitch slowly descending. It's Nona. After a short, choking sob, she starts again like a siren. I yell at her, even though I'm sure she won't hear me over her own racket. I wriggle out of the blast hole and push away from the station for a better view, but I can't see Nona anywhere. Our proximity alarm starts to chirp, its yellow light flashing in the corner of my visor. Gripping a photograph, I grab a jet with my free hand. Instead of aligning and locking into my glove, it skitters out of my hand and away. My face flushes as I watch the jet drift away, joining the debris. Sweat trickles in my hair. I slide my hand over the other jet and carefully lock it in before disengaging it from my belt. Our proximity alarm goes from yellow to red. I give the jet a pulse and get a longer view. It's a sloppy maneuver. Unlike the goofs at recess free walk session, I haven't spent a lot of time practicing trick moves or one-handed jetting. Now I wish I had. Finally, she takes a breath, and I shout her name into the sound of her gulping air. My heart is racing. Where are you? I don't know, she chokes out. I keep backing out, scanning the debris field. Finally, I see her, legs and arms flung out, turning huge cartwheels at least 300 yards beyond the station and moving fast. Shit, Nona. What? Nothing. Carefully, I slide the picture into the pocket of my thigh. I imagine I can feel it crumbling into dust under my glove. How'd you get way out there? I mute the proximity alarm and try to sound conversational as the computer calculates an intercept trajectory. All I hear is her sniffling as she spins away, getting smaller and smaller. For some reason, I picture Mom on her knees, picking all those nano-Nelly parts out of the carpet. Finally, the computer comes up with a trajectory. I lock onto it and hold the jets with both hands and fire it up. Hang on, farter. I'm coming. My voice is shaking. Almost immediately, a second warning sounds in my helmet. Now the suit doesn't like my speed. I mute it. Thank God I disconnected the acceleration safety lock. I boost the jet to full and concentrate on not colliding with anything too big or sharp for the suit's shielding. I can't see Nona at all. I can't afford to look. I just have to trust the trajectory and hope nothing nasty collides with her either. I arrive at the spot where she was when the suit ran the trajectory, and I'm closer, but not much. Something flashes off of her suit as she continues wheeling away. This time, I have the computer calculate our speed differential and eyeball the trajectory. The jet's heat warms my gloves, but I'm gaining on her. I switch it off and hope I have enough velocity. Our proximity alarm goes yellow, and suddenly she's rushing up to me, snuffling and sobbing in my earpiece. I lock the jet on my belt and hold my arms out, reaching for that last Hail Mary pass, and grab her boot as she cartwheels by. Together, we spin off in a new direction. Hugging her leg, I grab the jet and pulse it to correct our spin. It seems to take forever, and I realize slowly that it's not just her ragged breath that I'm hearing, but my own. Tears float from my eyes, speckling the visor. Once we stop spinning, I manage to climb up her suit until I get a hold of her shoulders. I get a look inside of her helmet, and it's pretty dramatic. Tears and strings of snot float around her head, smearing the inside of the visor. Aw, farter. Why'd you let go? I got this really big piece and just tore off. She unfurls a sheet of foil the size of a pillowcase. I start to laugh and almost can't stop. She starts giggling along with me. Okay. You're okay. Yeah. She nods obediently, like she is because I said so. My heart is still racing and my fingers hurt from gripping her shoulders. I find the short rope on her belt, pull out the line, and hook us back together. Hey, I got something to show you. What? She says, shaking her head like a wet dog, sending more bodily fluid spattering against the visor. Can you even see? Sorta. Tenderly, I reach into my pocket and ease the photograph out. The edges are torn, but it survived after all. I release it, letting it hang right in front of her visor. Her eyes go big. Wow. Where'd you get that? Inside. Where do you think? Is that Dad? She pokes at the man in the photograph. I reach up and we try at the picture between our fingers. No way, I say. It's a photograph. It's like ancient. Could be, she insists. And that's you eating a hot dog. She doesn't even look like Mom, I say. And I'm in her tummy. No, nah. Even through the mess in her helmet, I can see her smiling. I know, but it could be. I give up. Sure, I say. When's he coming home? Nona asks. I don't know, farter. I wish you could see it, she says. We both look at the picture for a while longer. The green grass, the dappled sunlight shining through the faded blue smoke that rises from the grill. I'm looking at ghosts, I think. Then I know what to do. Come on. I look around for a good-sized piece of junk and spot one of the old round satellites. Hold on to it, I say, pushing the photograph into her hands. Careful, it's fragile. Where are we going, she asks. Not far. I grab the jet and tug her over to the satellite. Nona reads the letters on the side. What does CCCP mean? I don't know. Probably some old company. I grab a bubble pack of adhesive from my belt and squeeze a blob onto the metal, then point to the photograph. Stick it on. She does, and I get lined up above the satellite. Arms braced, I hold the jet up over our heads. On 3, we're going to push it out of orbit, I say. Really? Sure, straight toward Earth. Will it go all the way? It should eventually. We shimmy around a little more until our feet are planted on the satellite. Ready? Steady! 1, 2, 3. I hit the jet and the satellite pushes against my feet as it changes direction. The family in the picture looks out at us and then recedes into a pale square before turning away as the satellite begins a slow spin. Is it going? Yeah, good job, Farter. Do you think Dad'll see it? Sure, I say. And in my head, I see Dad looking up. He's tracking a shooting star as it burns up across the sky. When I first read this story about 3 years ago, when I was working for Flying Island Press, I knew this was a story that was going to stick with me. Having younger children and several older children, it has really resonated with me. And beyond that, understanding what being away for a long period of time for work or for military duty or whatever that is that takes you away means to the kids. And the older kids having to step into one of those roles, almost like a parental role, it's something that just clicked with me. And I've been really happy that I've been able to work with it twice. And beyond that, I was exceptionally happy when I got to narrate it this second time. This is the kind of story that I think really fits with Cast of Wonders. You may have heard me call myself the head slush wrangler and you may ask, what does that mean? In the publishing world, slush is a term that we use to describe all of the stories that come into a publisher. And as head slush wrangler, it is my job to go through all of those stories and pick out the best ones to hand off to our editor so that she can then pick the cream of the crop to be published here. So I get to read a lot of stories. They're not all good, but it is a joy to be able to go through all those stories, and sometimes even if they don't fit Cast of Wonders, to be able to point the author to another venue where it might fit. It also gives me a chance to work with authors, and occasionally I will actually be able to go back to an author and say, this story would work if, or we would like you to do a couple of things here and there. And I think that has been one of the most fulfilling roles that I've ever been able to play in the publishing industry, and that just makes me happy. If you've enjoyed this week's story, please consider leaving us a donation. All of your donations go to paying our authors and making Cast of Wonders the best place to find young adult fiction on the internet. Cast of Wonders is brought to you by our creative team, our artist and publisher, Barry J. Northern, our audio producer, Alan Sale, and our humble and magnanimous editor, Marguerite Kenner. Cast of Wonders is a production of Wolfbane Publishing and is protected under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 license, which means share it all you want, but don't try to sell it.